When global supply chains snapped during the pandemic, the result was immediate. Supermarket aisles sat empty, and families scrambled to find basic consumer goods. But the virus was only the trigger. The system it hit was already brittle, weakened by decades of intentional corporate strategy. For years, large corporations operated on a just-in-time model. Instead of keeping extra inventory on hand for emergencies, they reduced reserves to the absolute minimum. Prioritizing short-term profits and executive payouts took precedence over maintaining a resilient system. To push production costs even lower, companies moved their operations to overseas markets with lower labor standards. This shift triggered a wide-scale deindustrialization across the United States, leaving behind abandoned factories and stagnant local economies. Prioritizing extreme efficiency over redundancy created a profitable but delicate global web. When that web broke, American families paid the price through acute shortages and higher prices. This chart shows U.S. manufacturing employment since the year 2000. Following the sharp downward trajectory on the screen, you can see the United States lost over 4.7 million domestic manufacturing jobs, over a quarter of the total workforce in that sector. The economic fallout hit working-class families the hardest. Workers without college degrees were forced out of stable careers and into the service industry, where pay is lower, hours are uncertain, and labor protections are much weaker. This decline also created a strategic vulnerability. The production of critical inputs, like the semiconductors that power modern electronics, migrated overseas. Today, the global supply of these chips is dangerously concentrated in a few specific regions, like Taiwan. When a nation relies entirely on distant, concentrated markets for its critical components, it surrenders its economic security. Pricing and availability become hostage to the unpredictability of global shocks. Shifting the economy from just-in-time to just-in-case requires moving past simple free market forces. Because maintaining extra inventory eats into profits, building a resilient, subsidized system requires deliberate government intervention. This strategic plan outlines the official federal pivot. Through multi-billion-dollar programs, the government is mapping out supply chain vulnerabilities, working to reduce bottlenecks, and funding the revitalization of regional manufacturing ecosystems. Securing these supply chains takes immense physical infrastructure. Federal investments are flowing into key global entry points and transit hubs to ensure that goods move efficiently once they reach our shores. The government is also bridging the gap where brilliant university research runs out of capital before it can scale into commercial production. Federal subsidies act as a link to bring those discoveries to the factory floor. Establishing a domestic supply base has become a requirement for national defense and operational continuity. Modern production looks very different from the assembly lines of the past. Automation, smart robotics, and artificial intelligence dictate the speed and scale of these facilities, changing the core requirements of manufacturing. Strategic industries are being reshored to the United States. Domestic solar panel factories, for example, are ramping up production to combat foreign monopolies that rely on heavy government subsidies to dominate the market. Bringing semiconductor fabrication back to U.S. soil is a high priority. These microscopic chips are essential to the modern economy, powering everything from artificial intelligence to the automotive industry. Whoever controls the physical production of advanced technology holds the geopolitical leverage of the 21st century. But there is a flaw in this revitalization plan. We can build new factories, but they sit idle without qualified operators. Many companies are currently artificially inflating job requirements, a practice known as opportunistic upskilling, which locks out capable workers. As older workers retire, the industry faces a workforce crisis. By 2030, an estimated 4 million advanced manufacturing jobs will need to be filled. Leaving these roles vacant carries immense financial stakes, potentially costing the U.S. economy $1 trillion in lost activity. This vulnerability was decades in the making. Starting in the 1980s, corporate culture shifted away from long-term workforce development. Companies cut their internal training programs, opting instead to prioritize shareholder returns and boost executive pay. A high-tech supply chain is only as resilient as the human intelligence available to manage its complex operations on the factory floor. To close this skills gap, the industry is expanding modern apprenticeship programs. These initiatives provide high-level applied skills so workers can secure quality jobs without the requirement of a 4-year college degree. Manufacturers are also recruiting from historically overlooked demographics. By changing scheduling, shifting company culture, and conducting proactive outreach, the industry is widening its talent pool. Public-private partnerships are finally aligning educational institutions with employer needs. The goal is to create a reliable pipeline into high-paying, unionized careers. National resilience depends on a dual strategy, pairing advanced hardware with a highly trained labor force. And these technical facilities only function when matched by a significant investment in the workers who run them.